Welcome to NewsClick. Today we have with us Professor Gopal Guru, who is a political theorist and an interventionist in the academic circles that has unsettled the status quo nature of Indian academia. His interventions as how egalitarian our social sciences and Dalit women speak differently have created debate which has actually given a voice to the marginalized sections and the academic sphere. We have with us Professor Gopal Guru to talk to us about the current Dalit contemporary politics and what is the way forward. Welcome to NewsClick, Professor Gopal Guru.
Thank you, Ambedkar. Thank you very much for inviting me to talk to this NewsClick.
Sir, India is going through a very tough time, and also the Dalit forces, which have always been at loggerheads with the Brahminical forces, are also facing a kind of backlash from the current regime. But there are instances of where the Dalits, though autonomous individual movements, are responding to them. So how do you see this present political atmosphere, and is there any space for the Dalit politics?
Yeah, I mean, Dalit politics has been put to a lot of difficulties. It has been facing a lot of challenges, intellectual, political, cultural and existential. One of the intellectual challenges is to rescue the very category of Dalit. Yeah. Now, Dalit in the contemporary times has become free for all. Anyone can run away with this category called Dalit. Anyone can call himself or herself Dalit. So, it is very, very simplified version of Dalit that is being dished out by politicians, certain kind of media. So, we need to know what exactly Dalit means. It is the category, it is the word, it is the terminology which is very, very powerful, which is very, very revolutionary, very, very subversive in its content and essence. And therefore, it will not be, you cannot collapse it easily in the governmentalized category called Scheduled Caste or depressed classes. Is the category which is a struggle category, which has come out from the struggle. Yeah. And therefore, it has got so much of moral strength. People have suffered, they made supreme sacrifices to really acquire this Dalitness. So, if there are people who are actually free riding on Dalit, would be very, very unfair for the category as Dalit. So, Dalit category will choose who should be appropriating this category, not the other way around. So, that is it.
But sir, do you think the academia also had a role in attributing Dalit to the scheduled caste, or was it were the academia lazy in attributing it to
definitely, definitely. I mean, the category of Dalit is a proper noun. That is to say, it has evolved itself through the political struggle. It is adopted by the people. For example, the Dalit Panthers really gave a very, very very strong and revolutionary version to this category. The revolutionary meaning was put into this category. So, it emerged at the historical time, and therefore, it has become a proper noun. Now, you are actually putting adjectives to it: Dalit president, Dalit intellectual, Dalit politician, Dalit scholars. All those are adjectives added on to Dalit. Yes. But that has actually put so much of pressure on Dalit category. As a result, it is actually being burdened by these attributes, which actually do not really add any value to this Dalit category. So, we have to actually rescue this category from all these adjectives and attributes, and restore it to itself a revolutionary meaning, which is a transformative meaning.
According to you, then who qualifies to be a Dalit?
A person who is basically pro dignity, who actually believes in universal dignity, mutual recognition, equality, fraternity, and more importantly, justice and friendship.
So, but now if you see in the present times, though the presidential debate was never of concern for the majority because it was the electoral college that elected them. Now, they have two candidates who happen to be from the scheduled caste categories, and they are not Ambedkarites from any angle itself, but they have been termed as the Dalit presidential candidates. What is your say on that?
We have to going back to this very content of this category. Those who are actually following this category in its spirit and its essence as category which is imbibing, which is embedded with these transformative revolutionary meanings of equality, dignity, and friendship, we shouldn't have additional word to explain their personality,
Right.
because this is the essence. The universal philosophy of Ambedkar is the essence of this category, and those who have practiced this in the history, in their own personal history, and are going to practice this in the present and in the future time, they should be qualified to call as Dalit. If the candidates who are contesting are actually they have to look at their own past, and they have to look at their own future. They have to project themselves in the future in terms of the substantive character of this. Are they doing this? Have they done it? We have to ask this question to them.
In that context, there are debates about, say, who is an Ambedkarite, who is not an Ambedkarite. So, is Ambedkar available to anybody, including the Dalits, freely?
No, it's not. I mean, it's a moral category. It's a you have to actually follow Ambedkar not in terms of letters, in terms of in terms of letters, also in terms of the spirit and actual practice. Dalit category, which is also the part of Ambedkar's vision, is not a vacuous or empty category. It is a very, very potently active category. You have to prove that you are with Dalit in their struggle for equality, in their struggle for dignity, in their struggle for justice. You have to prove that practically participating. There should not be any kind of moral inconsistency in your practice. You cannot be rhetorically Dalit and substantially anti-Dalit. You have to be consistently Dalit through your acting and your thinking.
Yeah, in that context, now somebody says he is a full-time Ambedkarwadi, he is the servant of the constitution, who is lead in the country, and there are others as well who are trying to appropriate Ambedkar, but not as ideologies. So, what shades of Ambedkar are they using according to you?
I mean, appropriating Ambedkar is not, I mean, this is it's a left-handed comment actually. Whether one is actually following Ambedkar, one is following Ambedkar in terms of the promises, in terms of the provisions that he has made in the Indian constitutions, and abiding by that provisions and rights given by Ambedkar in the Indian constitution, one will have to trust that person. But it's not simply, if you are actually following Ambedkar only symbolically, following his pratima, while you are trampling on his pratibha. I mean, if you are not following his genius, his philosophy, then I think it is not, you cannot be counted as Ambedkarite. You have to actually follow his ideology, his philosophy of emancipation. Only pratima or the symbols or images will not do. Though images are good for those people who want to see in images some kind of a summary of Ambedkar's philosophy. I am not discounting on that, but they are not simply following images, the Dalits and the statues and all that. They are also actually living those images in their day-to-day struggles for dignity. Yes. There is a difference between those people who use image only symbolically and those people who live that image in their day-to-day struggles for dignity.
So, in that context, you had seen a lot of atrocities happening on the Dalits, say from the Marathwada Ambedkar University struggle. You had seen in different parts of the struggle where the Dalits themselves are owning up Ambedkar as a symbol of dignity, but they have been met with severe repercussions, and in the recent times you can see what happened in Saharanpur. So, what are your views?
No, I mean, any atrocities done against the Dalits, atrocities that are the reflections of the commitment of the Dalits to Ambedkar's philosophy. That's the important point. I mean, they are making supreme sacrifices to really show their inclination, commitment to philosophy, and they are actually articulating the philosophy. The fallout of that articulation is atrocity. People who are against Ambedkar's philosophy will always meet the Dalits, not in terms of the realms of ideas and philosophy, but in terms of atrocities. I mean, therefore, I think to reinterpret atrocities as something as an ideological, theoretical assertion of the common people. They may not have read books, but actually they are living that philosophy of Ambedkar, and that philosophy which is being articulated at the practical level is being met with a lot of opposition by these people who have no interest in serious thinking and philosophy.
So, Dr. Ambedkar during his times, had a difficult task of winning over the others, and
Yes.
because of that he had to make some adjustments in terms of in the constitution or in politics, but he was always for the emancipation of the whole humanity.
Correct.
But do you think that project of Dr. Ambedkar is being taken by the current political
One has to, I mean, any political party has the, what was Ambedkar's project? The Ambedkar's project was to really mobilize people in terms of all these universal values of dignity, fraternity, equality, and friendship. More importantly, Maitri is so important in Ambedkar. So people have to mobilize. That means those people in power, state in power, how to see that the tensions in the society need to be minimized, and for minimizing tension, one aspect is to really to implement a legal mechanism. The other is to also practice ethics, so that the interface, intersubjective, interpersonal relationship is actually normalized around this friendship project. But that is not happening. The tensions is actually increasing, and whose responsibility is this to really minimize the tension? The civil society, which actually is caste ridden. This job of the government is to really faithfully implement the legal mechanism on the one hand, so that you actually minimize the tension. On the other, also teach people what is in their interest, because violence will not really help only one person. It will actually affect both the parties. Therefore, it is always in the interest of both the parties to really maintain peace and harmony in the society. So there will be two projects which Buddhism of Ambedkar actually is not exclusively relying on the state. That is one aspect of guaranteeing dignity. But the other is also mobilize people in terms of ethical orientation, which is given in Buddhism.
Yeah. So in that context, the Dalits take a moral claim over the constitution, and you see that though the present regime tried reviewing constitution in a previous period, but it was met it had severe opposition from the Dalits, and they came very vocal. But you think like how it happened to Buddhism, that from inside itself they did damage to the thought? You think without being vocal they can undermine the progressiveness of the Indian constitution?
I don't think so. I mean, Indian constitution is good it is good for Dalits. It is beneficial for those who are otherwise not Dalit. So Baba Saheb Ambedkar's idea behind constitution is to guarantee some kind of security to Dalits with the document, with this constitution as a very, very, very important document.
But Dr. Ambedkar had said during presenting the constitution, it can be the best of the document, but in the hands of a bad man, it will be
Very
the worst
correct.
of the document.
Correct. That's it.
Yeah. So how
yeah,
do you
that's it. So that's why those people who are actually those people who are at the helm of the affair, who are in power, it is their moral duty to practice it in its own totality, not simply in terms of its rhetoric of Indian constitution, which is being recited on every 26th of January. Not that. You have to actually implement constitution on an everyday basis, and that means you have to put into practice all the legal mechanism, constitutional mechanism, decision making processes and institutions. All that has to, with great force, put into practice on an everyday basis.
So you mean to say that the constitution should just not be a political contract, but it also should be a social contract?
Yeah, definitely. It's not only a matter of citizenship. I mean, you have to convert the mode of being. Who am I? I should not be suffering from stigma, and the Indian constitution really helped me really transcending myself and eliminate my stigma, annihilate my stigma. And so it's not simply enough to call oneself as a citizen. It is also important to call oneself as a good human being.
So on this note, whether we are a good human being or we are just a good citizen, it's for a future debate we'll have with Professor Gopal Guru. Thank you once again, Professor
Thank you
Gopal
very
Guru,
much. Thank
for
you.
talking to NewsClick. Thank you for watching NewsClick. Do subscribe to NewsClick